Good after morning. I guess
Good
it's called
after
afternoon.
morning.
It is after morning. It's afternoon.
It's still kind of morning for me.
So-
I've been gallivanting out here in Avila Beach, and I've been really enjoying my mom's place while she is not here at the moment. She's coming back tonight. But it's been quiet and beautiful, and I've been seeing my daughter, and I'm a little early with my Halloween mug.
As long as there's no pumpkin in there.
You went way back. You went to 1998?
Something like
somewhere in there. You went way back.
Every time I see that building, I'm like,
I don't even know where that building is.
You'd see it if you'd recognize if you saw it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. 1998, Rachel and I were driving I-5 south, just south of what is that, Downey, and it smelled like pumpkins. And there was a building that was a big giant pumpkin.
Like pumpkins, and we're like, "Ooh, that smells like pumpkins!" And then all of a sudden,
it did not smell like pumpkins. It
does not smell like pumpkin.
And the building was a giant pumpkin. It was pretty fun.
The building was evil.
It did. Every time I see that building, I'm like, meh, pumpkins.
That does not smell like pumpkin.
No, it did not smell like pumpkins anymore. So we're on a little earlier than normal, as you've been gallivanting up there in Avila Beach, and I spent my morning doing caravans at houses and having lively discussions with other agents and having all kinds of fun with that. What I like about that is,
are you making friends, Miller? I hope you're making friends. Or are you leaving dead bodies in your
no dead bodies. It's fun. As the agent that I was having the discussion with, Christine, she and I will get into these really lively debates. And people are like, man, you guys must hate each other. I'm like, no, we actually really respect each other. But we can have these lively debates and we're still friends. And that's what I think is really fun about Christine. She does a bunch of sales here in Ridgecrest. She does a great job. Her name is Christine Lester. She's over at KW, and she and I are good friends, and we get a very lively discussions. The people in the back seat were like, are they mad at each other? I'm like, no, we're good.
What were one of the things you were talking about aside from the MLS?
We were talking about the MLS.
Oh, okay.
And how a lot of MLSs don't share information, and how I feel that that's a disservice. And she and I just went back and forth, and she didn't see where there was an issue, and I can see her point. And
what was her point?
If the customer comes in to buy a house, she uses the local MLS that she has access to help the customer. Well, in my world, yes, that's absolutely what you need to do. However, I belong to 3 different MLSs. So if I go and look at my search engine, I bring all 3 MLSs into one component. So if I search a 3-bedroom house on 5 acres with a well and a ADU, I see almost everything that's listed in the area because I am a member of 3 different MLSs.
So does Ridgecrest have multiple areas that one MLS would cover versus another?
That's part of the problem. Yes is the direct answer to your question. Let me rephrase that. In my opinion, yes, that's the answer to that question. And I should do our disclaimer now. The opinions expressed on this are not necessarily the opinions of anybody else other than the guests and the hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of anybody we work for, may work for, or ever may work for. They're strictly our own opinions.
And they might change in an instant.
They can. And that's one of the neat things about us is I may say, this is how I feel. And someone says, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, good answer. I just changed it. So that's what I think is fun about us is, yeah, we have opinions. However, things can change.
They can change.
So with that,
do your due diligence.
Yes. And make sure that you, as a customer who may be watching this, is make sure you vibe with your agent. Is you're going to be married to them for the next up to 90 days or 120 days, and you're going to talk to them a lot. So you should really vibe with them. And if you don't, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I think what
So
I
if
was
you
saying,
don't vibe with them,
move on, is interview agents. Yeah, that's important. And just don't go with the agent. Well, I think we could list this house for $1,700,000. We can always list a house for $1,700,000, but I don't like to collect houses. I would rather sell a house. And sometimes listing the house is not where the price they want to list it for. I recently had a guy who wanted to list a house at a little over $2 million. I couldn't justify it. I would not with a box with a fox. I'm like, I couldn't justify it. If someone asked me, where'd you come up with these numbers? I pulled them out of my sock because I couldn't pull them up. I had just no way to justify it. Going back to that MLS thing, then we'll actually go into our topic. I have everything that goes into one search engine. And I didn't finish your other question. Hold on, let me get all my ADD thoughts into one spot.
Yeah,
So
I have a 5-point harness on right now, Miller. I'm just waiting for my in and just trying to keep it in the brain while you.
Your question was, does Ridgecrest have an MLS? It does.
Well, actually, we got past that. I have a comment.
Yes.
Or like it. So I think that for some agents, it would make sense to just be part of the local MLS because they are more focused on working locally. But taking into account that maybe Ridgecrest is this larger area and there's different MLSs for just Ridgecrest in general, I understand that might be the case. But some agents like to be part of more than one MLS because they have a broader reach and maybe they've got somebody in their neck of the woods that wants to start looking out all the way out into Ridgecrest. Like if I had somebody in Thousand Oaks and they said, we want to look in Ridgecrest. Well, we kind of messed around a little bit before we went live. We saw that I don't get any listings from Ridgecrest. So in my MLS, it doesn't share. And sometimes it would, if an agent belongs to multiple MLSs, that Ridgecrest agent could possibly list outside of their area. Possibly. I don't know. I'm kind of talking with a little bit of educational guess, but I guess it just depends on the agent, how much, they're willing to spend a month on all of their monthly costs. Does it make sense business-wise to be a member of more than one MLS? Are they finding that they are able to serve their clients better that way? Does it really make a difference? Every agent is different.
Right. And it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking about what my friend Christine was talking about, is if you were to list a house, say you were to get a listing here in Ridgecrest, you would list it in your MLS down there in Ventura County. And it would show up in your search engine. And when you searched it down there, it would show up. However, it would show up on Zillow and Realtor. However, if I went to search for that in my local MLS, it would not show up, but it would show up in the Zillow and Realtor. And I could then call and say, hey, Rachel, it's Scott from Epic Realty up here in Ridgecrest. How do I get access to your house? But it wouldn't show it for the local aspect. And that's what I think Christine was talking about, is because this area does have its own specific MLS, the agent should list in the local MLS. And I get that. However, a lot of times Ridgecrest is a melting pot, and there's people from all over the country that have family here, and they may want to have their friend Susie in San Diego list here. And she can. However, if I go to look at it in the local MLS, it's not going to show up. So it's almost 6 of one, half dozen of another. I just prefer to be able to look and know. And that's what it boils down to. If I go look at it, I'll see everything. I don't want to say everything, but I'll see most of everything. Mostly more than just what's listed in the MLS. At one point,
but it sounds like the other agent is kind of using that third party Realtor.com or Zillow as that other MLS.
As a backup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there really is.
It's leveraging that product, and there's nothing wrong with that.
All right. So we were going to talk about today dual agency and who, what, when, why, where, how. And you and I have had several discussions on that.
Yes.
Is you've been a dual agent 3 times? Twice?
3 times.
Yeah.
3 times.
And
in this last fiscal year.
Yeah, you've been a
from
dual
June
agent.
to June. So, and the reason why I brought it up during conversation with you over the week is because of the buyer broker agreement. I feel that I'm seeing, and I know my teammates in my office are seeing more often, and I would probably every agent that if I walked up with a mic on the street and asked them, they would probably agree that because of the buyer broker agreement, many buyers are shying away from using their own agent as a buyer and just leaning on or relying on the listing agent of the house that they would like to put an offer in on.
So in English,
that was English.
For people that are ADD like myself, I'm going to be Stevie. Stevie sees a house for sale, and he says, "Okay, there's Rachel. I should call my friend, the agent Scott. Oh, but you know what? I could just call Rachel, who's right there, and call Rachel and say, hey, Rachel, my name's Stevie, and I want to buy this house. And at that point, you will need to send me over a buyer broker agreement, otherwise known as a BRBC, so that you can. So
anyway, they're going to have to sign it anyway.
Right.
They're going to have to create that agency anyway. They don't get away with not.
Right. And I think some people think that they do get to get away with not. That was hard to say. To get away with not doing it. And you will agree with me on this, I'm sure. There are times that it doesn't happen as quickly as it should.
Which part?
The BRBC.
Yeah. So in other words, if you're an agent working with a buyer and you drag your feet and getting them to sign a BRBC and guilty, hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a realtor and I am guilty of not having my buyer sign a BRBC. And now here's the mud on my face to prove it.
I think if somebody said they have never had that mud, I would say,
liar.
Liar, bats on fire.
Liar.
We should do it right away. And what happened with you recently, it made me more conscious of it. And I have a buyer now who wants to see a property. And I said, okay, let me send you over this document. It's a new federal form that says I can help you. And
right. And by the way, if you don't use me and you go to a listing agent, you will have to sign this contract with them. It exists no matter who you use.
Correct. Now, and that goes to what we're going to talk about is the dual agency.
And so, Mr. Customer, you don't want to sign this with me. That's fine. Or why would I sign this with you? Well, these are the reasons why. What are the pros and cons of dual agency? In other words, the flip side of that is, what would be your advantage of not using the listing agent and having your own agent as a buyer? Go.
I had to make sure I followed that. Wait. What? No, you can't do that. What are the benefits of using not the listing agent, but
Well, that would be the flip side. So we want to discuss the pros and cons of using a listing agent. And so what would be the flip side of that is why would I not just go in and use the listing agent? Why would it behoove me to have my own agent as a buyer, knowing I'm going to have to sign that agency contract no matter who I use?
I'm going to say yes to both.
Well, no, it's not a yes or no question. So you're not listening.
No, it could be. So it could be. So why is okay? It's so hard to explain that way. The benefit of using your agent versus the listing agent is your agent potentially has more of your vested interest in his or her head. And I use those words on purpose, what I just said. Uh, he or she is working for you. Their only job in life is to get you that house for the best possible price. Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, fair enough. Does it, let's say I'm a buyer and I'm like, yeah, but it just seems easier to just, I really like this house and the agent is standing here. They're doing an open house today. I met them. And so why can't I just tell them, yeah, I want to put in an offer and work with them? What's the difference?
I am going to be on the other side of that. I personally like being a dual agent. And a dual agent is both the buyer agent and the seller agent. I will also say my hair is this short because I recently did that and it made my hair explode. Is you do, as a buyer and seller agent, as dual agency, you now have the legal obligation to represent both people in the transaction. So you're talking to the buyer here, you have your hat on, and now you're going to talk to your seller. You took that buyer hat off, now you have your seller hat on, and you don't intermingle the two. They are two completely different transactions. And that kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, is from an agent standpoint, everything can go a lot quicker being dual agency, as you're sending it back and forth to yourself. But again, part of a conversation we had recently was you still have the responsibility to send everything to the seller. Even though you may know he's not going to take $2 million, you'd already know that. And the buyer's like, I want to offer $2 million. Okay, we can do that because I'm a seller's agent now. And we send it over to the seller and say, hey, here's an offer of $2 million. What? I told you I wouldn't take less than 2.5. I know. However, I am a dual agent. I'm obligated to send this over to you. And I don't have the authority nor the ability to say, no, that falls directly on your hand. And that way it also creates a paper trail. So it tells everybody what everybody's doing. If I was doing a single agency, I would do the same thing. I'd send it over to you. If I was a seller's agent and say, hey, here's a listing for $2 million. And you'd still say, no, I'm not taking it. So it's the same principle. From an agent standpoint, they'll get paid on both sides, both the listing agent and the buyer's side. And in real estate, as we know, everything is negotiable. So if your agent becomes a dual agent, you can talk to them and say, hey, could we do something about this commission if you would be so kind? And that is now a negotiation tool. I know agents that won't be, period, end of text, will not be a dual agent. They're like, nope, hard pass. And they'll pass it off to somebody in their office or somebody else they know, like, and trust. Thoughts, opinions, emotional outbursts?
I'll take emotional outbursts for 300, please.
Yes. Hello, whoever's watching us. I don't know where you're watching this from, but
good. Somebody's watching. Well,
Amy. Amy's watching us.
Okay, so thoughts and opinions. Obviously, some of the pros of working with an agent as a dual agent. You have direct access to the seller's agent because that seller's agent is also your agent as a buyer. Potential smoother transactions based on the fact of one of those facts is, like you mentioned, you're only waiting on yourself in terms of mobilizing contracts, moving papers, having buyers and sellers sign things. You're not waiting for another agent who you have no jurisdiction over to say, hurry up and do this. Possible negotiation leverage. In terms of, you use the example of, as a dual agent, your buyer's saying, I want to put in a $2 million offer. And as the seller's agent, they're not going to go for $2 million offer. You could say to your buyer, how about your best and final? you can direct them and steer them to success without giving away confidential information that you know about your other client. There's a finesse. It takes time. It takes experience. It takes knowledge. But there's ways that you can finesse your client on either side to get to the agreement quicker, smoother, with less emotional outbursts.
Yeah.
Which can happen. I mean, I'm one of my I had a dual agency recently where there were lots of things in play, and a lot had to happen, just had to happen. And a deadline. And I knew where my seller stood, and I had a buyer, and we needed to sell. And this was the only offer coming in. And the buyer came in with an offer, and I knew that it was going to upset the seller.
Have an emotional outburst, you mean?
Have an emotional. I mean, because a lot of it is emotion, and we need to understand that. But I had to present the offer. I had to. Largely, there were no other offers coming in. So it was also like a little bit of a wake-up call for that seller. So there's that. Some of the cons, if you want to go into more pros, or we can mention some cons of dual agency.
One of the things for the buyers, it could be future regrets. If something happens to go sideways, the buyers could feel that they didn't have a true advocate on their side.
Right. And I think we use the analogy, and it's loose, and please be careful. And, it's almost, it's more out of humor. Like if you're getting a divorce, you don't use the same divorce attorney.
Right. And that's the conversation we had the other day. It was,
right. It's not to say it can't go well, because it does often, but it's kind of like that. Like, who's really going to be on your side?
Right. Is who's paying the attorney more. So it can go well. And that comes back to what we were talking about a little while ago, is know, like, and trust your agent, and do your due diligence on him or her. I had someone the other day say, Scott, I looked you up and you've only done 2 sales in 3 years. I'm like, what? Wait, that's because they looked at me up on realtor.com, and my MLS doesn't share data with Realtor.
They weren't getting the full picture. Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's 52, but okay, who's counting?
So if you're listening to this and you happen to be at some point in the position where you're buying a home and you are going to need representation, let's say that you've had an agent who's just been kind of in the sidelines doing, I call it, staying top of mind. They know what you're looking for. They're sending you stuff. You don't have a buyer broker agreement. Don't do the thing where you ignore their efforts and go use a seller's agent. If you really like this other agent, if you've been giving them, yes, please send more. This is if you didn't say stop talking to me, if you haven't blocked that agent, if you've been engaging with them and saying I'm interested in this, but I want this, and you're engaging with that agent, and that agent is doing work for you, kind of like soft sideline work. Don't go into an open house and use an agent that's standing in there. Circle back. Call the agent that has been on the soft sidelines doing work for you. Because that person is going to be more invested in your relationship as a whole. You're there. For me, my relationship doesn't end when the transaction is over. My relationship with that person keeps going. So, there's things that, as an agent, you're going to be more motivated to do things for your past clients and your past customers if they don't just kind of use you for information and then just move on to, the agent standing inside the house that you want to buy. Don't do that. No, it doesn't feel good.
We all have, realtors have feelings too. And
yes, we do.
And when we are doing, I'm going to use your word, the soft work behind the scenes and sending the buyer information, hey, here you go, take a look at this. Or we see something on a caravan, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is perfect for John. And you reach out to John, say, John, this is perfect for you. And John goes in there in an open house and doesn't reach out to you and puts an offer in with that other agent.
Uh-huh.
He may get an invitation to
You
go for a
didn't
hike.
get a BRBC, so at the end of the day, you did that to yourself.
Yeah, it still sucks.
But
Yes,
it
it
still
does.
sucks.
Yeah, but however, it does make us as an agent, makes us a stronger agent. We've talked about this in the past. We've talked about seasoned agents. Well, it's kind of like attorneys that they call attorneys and doctors. They say it's a practice. Well, in real estate, it's a practice also, and we're always learning. In real estate, we both, Rachel and I, this year have to take our continuing education classes. Was it 80 hours? Of continuing education. And
Have
they're
you
going to start.
started yours yet, Miller? You can answer that later.
No, yeah,
I don't have to retest until October next year. You're February, right?
I'm February of next year. Yeah.
Yeah. You.
I should, being I have so much spare time, I should probably do that right away.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, in your world, dual agency, yay or nay? Yay.
I mean, sure, why not?
I'm gonna. I
I
say
think
yes.
every transaction is different. Like you could take on a dual agency and be like, "Holy smokes, that was a nightmare," and then there would be like, "That was awesome." So, and that could be with any transaction, no matter what. I do know that there's states that don't allow it. I don't know what states they are, but California is one of the few states that still allows it at this point.
Yeah, I am yes with an asterisk because there's no two transactions that are the same.
Exactly.
And
I don't say I would avoid them. Like some agents are just like, nope, not doing it. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it is challenging, and you do work. You work. Yeah. You work twice as hard as a dual agent because you're in it twice. And so it's not like easy your money. You're working twice as hard.
You're taking your head off and on the whole time.
You are working twice as hard.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's funny is when I've been at national meetings, they're like, "You guys can do both sides." Yeah, we can.
What if?
We can. Wow.
Because I know the founder of Gratis Homes right now. He's in a transaction that is completely dominoed. What if can you do more than dual? What if you're the seller agent, the buyer's agent, and the person buying the buyer's house? What if you're that agent too?
You could do that.
Oh, I mean, you'd have to. That's crazy, yeah, and it could go on from there. I don't know if anyone would want to do it that way, but you could.
You could. It would make my head hurt, and
it's painful.
Yeah, I think my blank wall right there would have strings like this going, okay, here's here, there's there.
Very intricate.
My cat would enjoy life, but no, you can't do that. No, get away, cat. It's real estate is definitely an interesting thing. And the Fed, was it today or yesterday? The Fed yesterday did cut the interest rates by 0.25%. And
yeah, I saw that, but I don't see it. Well, right now it's 6.37, and I've seen it lower than that.
I have too. I actually just know of someone who just got one at 5.93. So I think right now it's pretty much where it's going to be. Now, if they decide to do what the rumor is they're going to drop it 2 more times, that'll be interesting.
This year?
That's the rumor. It just comes down to what the Fed wants to do. If they dropped it 2 more times, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would make next year great.
I've heard some people say, "Oh, they're waiting for their phones to blow up this whole week after the Fed dropped it." I'm like, no, I don't think so. So we'll be look at that. It's 29.56. Rachel,
so next time let's talk about the cons. We can go a little bit more into the cons of dual agency.
Yes, and then in a few weeks we're going to have a old friend of ours on and talking about trusts, Carl Knoll, and I have to pin him down to a date.
Yep.
and it's him and his family is actually all do trusts.
That's great.
We'll get him on in the next couple of weeks. And with that, Rachel, how do people get a hold of you?
Rachel@gratishomes.com, and also my website is rachelmoreno.gratishomes.com.
Awesome. And I can be reached
smooth as butter.
I can be reached at sellingkern.com. And actually, you can see me this weekend. I will be at Randsburg Day, which has a population of 96. However, this weekend it'll have a population of about 30,000 people.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'll be up there this weekend with one of my other agents from Palmdale, and doing have an epic booth up there, just chilling out, hanging out. And this is the first time in 8 years I have not done kettle corn or shave ice at that event.
That's crazy.
People are going to be confused. Aren't you the kettle corn guy? Yes, I am. But today I'm going to sell you a house.
You are a dual agent.
Yes, I am. I saw what you did there. So very good, Rachel. As always, it's a pleasure. And you and I will talk soon. Hey, have a safe back drive. Have a safe drive back.
Thanks,
from
Miller.
God's country up there on the coast. Watch out for tidal waves and squids. Probably not going to have.
I'm going to go say hi to the sea otters in Morro Bay right now.
Oh, throw them a clam. Here you go. Throw them a clam. They'll probably like it. Very, very good, my dear. I will go run away. I will talk to you very soon.
Bye, Mr. Miller. Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.